friends, it's Van. Welcome back to my art vlog. This is the fourth one in the series. For this session, I thought I would do something a little bit different and work on a digital self-portrait in a meet the artist style. I've always wanted to do one of these. I thought that a self-portrait would be the perfect sort of backdrop to today's discussion, which is basically to introduce myself a little bit more and touch on the midlife crisis that I currently find myself in. You know, just typical meet the artist type stuff. I will elaborate more on like the midlife crisis bit later in the video. But yeah, let's just get started. So the assignment for today is like a digital self-portrait. I'm doing this portrait on my iPad. I'm using a fairly old iPad at this point. I got it in like 2017, but I think the model is maybe from like 2016. So the Apple Pen charges like in that super annoying way where it sticks out from the bottom of the port. It makes me so nervous when I charge the pen because I feel like it could snap right off. But actually, in fact, one time I had it charging and my cat started chewing on the tip of my Apple Pencil, and so it's like partially crushed at the tip now. It still works miraculously, but I had like a mini heart attack when it happened. So yeah, anyway, I will be doing this portrait in Procreate, and I already have a sketch that I started like a couple of days ago. I try to do a new self-portrait like every couple of years just to see if like my style has like changed at all. And I would say my style like hasn't really shifted too much in like the last 5 years. I use like the same brushes in Procreate since like 2017. But yeah, so if you are completely new to this channel, I would like to introduce myself a bit more. My name is Van. I've been drawing and making art since I was a little kid. I dabble in all kinds of mediums, both traditional and digital. Everything you see on my channel and my social media is mostly just personal artwork, just stuff I do for fun. I live in Texas, which I guess automatically makes me a cowboy in the eyes of the rest of the world. I live with my partner Michael and our two tabby cats, Nori and Sushi. They will probably pop up in later videos because I am very much a proud cat lady. We live in a small apartment together. I am Vietnamese, but I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, and my parents, they like immigrated back in like 1975. I'm currently 38. I was born in February of 1986, so I'm an Aquarius, in case you were wondering if we can be friends. So yeah, I am one of those sad, poor millennials that can't afford to buy a house right now. Maybe some of you can relate to this agony. I don't know. I went to school for graphic design way back in like 2008, like right smack dab in the middle of like a beautiful recession. It like a chef's kiss of a recession. I've been working as like a graphic designer for almost 15 years now, which is wild to think about. I used to work at an agency doing like marketing design and branding, and then I decided to switch gears and become a product designer, which is where I am right now. I think it was maybe like 10 years ago when it dawned on me that I wanted to focus on illustration, because I realized that the only projects I truly enjoyed working on were like the ones that utilized my illustration skills. And at that point, I had been posting my own like personal illustration work on Dribbble, and a company based out of Utah saw that Dribbble account and they reached out to me. They manufacture like crafting supplies and wanted to interview me for like a design position. So that was an incredibly lucky break. Like I mentioned, I graduated into a pretty bad recession, so it took me a while to find my first job. And then when this opportunity popped up afterwards, I immediately went for it. And that's where I've been for like the last 10 years. And I've been working remotely for this company for close to like 4 years at this point since the pandemic. I've been lucky enough to like design for like a wide array of products, like stickers and stamps, patterned paper, kids crafting kits. Last year I did like a paper collection, which was really fun. It was the first time I had done one, and it was exciting, but it was also really stressful. But yeah, I figured it out. It was a wonderful accomplishment for me. And it's been a wild ride in the world of like product design. But yeah, so I'm sure you're probably thinking to yourself like, wow, like Van is so cool. She's so successful. Like she must like have her whole life figured out or something. I assure you that is not the case. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm 38. It took me a good hot minute to even get here. I am not a young, whippersnapper on YouTube. Whenever I watch like other people's artist videos on here, it seems like they only show you like the highlight reel, and they're so young. But I keep wondering like if they have the same like internal crisis that I currently have. Because like, especially if you're an artist or you work in the creative industry right now, a lot of things are changing. And I think most designers and artists have always had to like, reassess their career like over the course of their life, despite any like past successes or anything. Because like factors out of their control are always happening. Things are just always changing, whether it's like new technology, changes in the economy and workforce, even like your own like mental health. Things are never the same. And and I told you I'm a graphic designer, which I am, but I also don't feel super confident in my current skill set when compared to what's in demand for like the modern graphic designer today, which is very much like in the digital space, which I'm not well versed in. And yeah, I've worked at like, a company for like a decade making really fun stuff, but my company has also seen like major cutbacks on profit and suffered many painful layoffs. I've had to say goodbye to like so many good coworkers and designers over the last 3 years. So even like my confidence in my current like employment is at an all-time low at this point in my life. I just feel like it's hard for me to talk about myself and go over my own like highlight reel without really talking about like the full story. You know what I mean? We tend to kind of gloss over that, I think. I mentioned at the beginning of the video about a midlife crisis. And I know that sounds like overly dramatic. It probably is. Not what you expect in a Meet the Artist video. But I definitely feel like the winds are changing, and I'm questioning like who I am these days. When I was working on this self-portrait, I kind of realized that I haven't really changed like significantly over the last decade. Like, I'm essentially the same person as I was when I was like 28. I live in the same apartment, I had the same partner, I had the same job, and obviously there's a wonderful stability to this kind of life that I think a lot of people wish they had. A steady paycheck, the time and space to work on like my hobbies, just generally a quiet life. You know, I've been incredibly lucky in that regard. And yet I still feel like I'm barreling towards what's essentially, I think, just a crisis of purpose. Like the one struggle I'm facing right now is trying to figure out like what my next step is in like my career, like what the trajectory of my career even looks like, you know? I've been riding this really quiet wave of stability for like so long, but it's just not going to stay that stable forever, you know? I already feel like I'm at a crossroads where things have to dramatically change soon. I have to like learn new skills. I have to switch things up if I want to stay even remotely relevant in the current workforce, but also just to find like that sense of purpose that I think I'm severely lacking in my life right now. And I know I shouldn't tie my career like so closely to my life's purpose or anything like that. I totally see that. Like I just feel that because I haven't changed much in a while, that I've lost touch with like my passions for things. I've run into like a creative block more times than I can count at this point, and that feeling does impact your work life too, you know? So I just generally wake up feeling like, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I even an artist if I don't really draw that much these days, you know? Like, what do I even want to achieve? Like, lots of big questions with no concrete answers yet. So right now this is who I am, you know, at this moment in time. I'm a quiet cat lady, graphic designer, a homeless millennial, self-taught illustrator. I'm obsessed with mushrooms for some unknowable reason, but clearly I'm also still wondering if there is more to me than this usual laundry list of mine. You know, if there is something around the corner for me to discover about myself. But yeah, I know this all sounds like a kind of a real weird bummer of an introduction for me as an artist, but you know, fear not. Just know I have already cried my tears. I have already like mourned the death of my boring 30s, even though I'm still technically in it. I feel like when I move into my 40s, maybe that's where like the juicy stuff is going to happen. Like I become an enlightened Buddhist or something like that. I don't know. I can like look back on this self-portrait when I was 38 and just be like, oh, look at that sweet summer child just barely learning about herself. I think if there's like one thing to get out of this really meandering Meet the Artist video is that my name is Van. I exist and I'm an artist, but my current work in progress is me. I think that pretty much sums it up. As always, thank you so much for staying to the end of this weird video. This was a really tough one for me to write and film. Way more personal than I was expecting. I mean, I was gonna spend like maybe half of it talking about like my love for miniature toys and animated movies and like snacks from Trader Joe's. But it feels good to put a more, I guess, authentic message out there about who I am and my struggles right now. I don't know if anybody out there will relate to my current situation at all, but definitely leave like a comment below if you're like in the same boat, if you're stuck in a weird career limbo like I am, or just like wish you had some sort of like guidance in your art or your life. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I would absolutely appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.